Now to Sidney Tarrow. He is a professor of government and sociology at the Cornell University and joins us from Ithaca, New York. Professor, good to have you on the program. Regarding the protests that we're seeing over the death of George Floyd, certainly we have seen protests before, but never to this extent where they've spread all across the United States and even around the world. Why do you think we're seeing such a collective action now around systemic and institutionalized racism?
Thank you for asking. It's a complicated story, and I'll try and shorten it very quickly. There is one word that helps to explain the rapid spread of this movement, and it is TRUMP. It is Trump. It is Trump that's the reason for the extraordinary cross-racial support, cross-geographic support in the United States for this movement. And I believe it's Trump that explains the rapid spread, the extraordinary spread of this movement around the world.
Mm-hmm. Do you think the pandemic, though, has heightened, particularly in America, the disparity between white and black Americans and helped to fuel these demonstrations?
Yes, it is, but I wonder if it isn't also the reason for the cross-racial participation in this. I live in a small town in a Republican district of upstate New York, and as I drive around the roads in this all-white area, I'm seeing signs that say Black Lives Matter. This is an extraordinary moment in American history, but I would remind your listeners it's also a very dangerous moment. It's a polarizing moment in which those people who support Donald Trump are guaranteed to respond with calls for law and order, a militarization of the police, and a crackdown on the protesters. So we are living through an exciting, critical juncture in American history, but critical junctures are also very dangerous.
Mm-hmm. I know that you've been studying protest cycles for a long time. How do you compare the protests we're seeing now to other protest cycles you've studied in the past? And in previous examples, have these protests led to lasting change?
They always lead to lasting change, but it's never possible to predict what kind of lasting change they'll lead to. The movements of 1968 in the United States were exciting in much the same way, but they led to the election of Richard Nixon and to a strengthening of the police forces and a nationalization of police that we are still living with today. So there will certainly be a policy response. What that policy response is going to be is never clear until the dust settles.
Mm-hmm. I know in your research you say that politics isn't always behind protest cycles such as this, but you said that the cause of this is very clearly the President Trump. Do you think that we'll see that reflected 5 months from now in the election?
I think we certainly will see it in the election. What we are seeing already in the early polling is that many of Donald Trump's support base members have been questioning his competence, his Americanness, his support for democracy. And this has been true for older voters, for white voters, for particularly women voters who questioned his competence in the first place and who are now beginning to think about voting for the Democrats.
Okay, and we'll leave it there for now. Professor Sidney Tarrow, thank you.